Hi, everybody. Welcome to the second half of Chapter 12, the Developmental Psychology chapter. So we are only going to talk about stage theories today. Specifically, we're going to talk about two stage theories, Piaget's and Kohlberg's. Now, one thing I need you to understand is that there's a lot of stage theories that are going on in developmental psychology, a lot. And that's because different types of psychology develop in different ways. And so several different types of psychology have different stage theories. So we've already even discussed a little bit about Freud's psychosexual stages. That's a lot different than Piaget's theory. So what I want you to make sure you understand is that stage theories are not necessarily in conflict with each other. It's not like Piaget and Kohlberg are fighting it out saying, oh, no, I think my stage theory is right. No, I think my stage theory is right. They're talking about totally different things. Just like Freud's psychosexual stages, that's about psychosexual stages, which, by the way, most people don't actually believe anymore. But when we're talking about like Piaget is talking about cognition, how we understand the world around us, how we interact with physical objects and other things. Whereas Kohlberg is about morality and the development of the psychology of morality. So let's go ahead and start talking a little bit about Piaget, and then we'll talk about Kohlberg a little bit later on. So this is Piaget. So by the way, he's Belgian, if I'm not mistaken. So this is in French, Jean Piaget, not Jean Piaget. All right, Jean Piaget. Piaget had a stage theory. It's probably the most famous stage theory of development. And specifically, he's talking about cognitive development. Now, when he's talking about cognitive development, he's talking about the way that children and other people understand the world around him. It starts with a sensory motor stage. The sensory motor stage is when kids are just learning to understand how their body interacts with the world. So these are young children, like up to about 2 years is normally what we would assume you would be in the sensory motor stage. During this time, you learn things like object permanence. I don't know if you've ever played peekaboo with a kid, or you like put a blanket over the toy and the child doesn't know where it is, right? Object permanence is the understanding that objects still exist even when they've been covered up, right? So Jean Piaget says that you develop object permanence during the sensory motor stage. Now this leads then into the pre-operational stage. And in the pre-operational stage, you start to understand that things have representations in words and ideas, etc. But you have a really kind of cursory understanding of how the world works. You can put things together in orders and small patterns, but it's pretty basic stuff. And he thinks that this lasts from about 2 to 6 years of age. In the concrete operational stage, this is when we start to understand ideas of conservation, that things conserve their properties. So, for example, that if you have like 6 of one thing, it doesn't matter how you represent it, it's still 6. That would be a conservation of number. Conservation of volume, you may have seen, if you remember that you got a fat, shallow cup compared to a long, skinny cup. And if you pour liquid into one or the other, even though the long, skinny cup makes the liquid look like it's tall, it's the same amount. The volume stays the same. It's conserved. Also, ideas of weight and mass are conserved no matter how you change what's going on inside of it. During the concrete operational stage, that's when you fully understand and have conceptualized those ideas of conservation. The formal operational is when you can understand things abstractly, when you can understand things in your brain and you can manipulate ideas of concepts and you can kind of manipulate how they look in your brain, and you don't even have to understand it with a physical object. You understand it in an abstract way. And Jean Piaget thinks that the formal operational really starts around 12 years of age, so 11 or 12 years of age, and goes on to adulthood. That's where you would be. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to watch a video of me taking my son, who's almost 6 years old, through some conservation tasks. And then we'll ask you some questions about it.